Hey, everybody, Anthony Pirozzi here with my Inspiration and Motivation podcast. Thank you all for joining in. Today's topic, take time today to plan for tomorrow. That's a big one, right? A lot of times we think in very short term. We don't think long term. But the decisions we make today will impact us for years to come. So think about what it is that you want to accomplish down the road. If you think about it maybe in three different categories, there's personal, there's financial, and for me, there's faith. Not necessarily in that order, but that's the order we're going to talk about today. So think about something personal in your life that you want to accomplish. I remember when I was thinking about going to college, I was trying to figure it all out and really trying to understand what I needed to do today in order to get ready to go to college tomorrow. When I say tomorrow, that doesn't mean like really tomorrow. It could mean a year from now. It could mean 5 years from now. It can also mean 3 months from now, but just keep that in the context of as we go forward here. So from a personal standpoint, think about what you've done today that's going to help you with something you want to accomplish down the road or tomorrow. Some people, again, I always like to think in the context of the personal time that they're investing in themselves. What are they doing to help themselves get better for tomorrow? Is that something with your career? Thinking about assignments you may need to take on that require you to take on more responsibility and to help you get to that next step or to that next promotion. It could be something as simple as, trying to figure out what it is that you like in life and what do you need to do today to really enjoy that. It could be a vacation. It could be something that says, look, I really want to go to Europe for the first time. And so right now, today, I need to sacrifice a few things in order to be able to save the money to go down the road. So there are those personal elements in your life that you're looking at to try and get better at or to achieve. So think of it that way. The other one is financial. Taking time today to plan for tomorrow could be that, look, I'm going to actually put more money away this week than last week, and each week I'm going to increase it. I always like to use the philosophy, of paying yourself first. When I first started investing, I was listening to somebody talk. Back in the day, it was sometimes late night television on all these ways to gain financial independence. But the one thing I took away from everything I listened to was paying yourself first. In many cases, from a financial perspective, we're looking to pay someone else first. We're looking to pay our bills first. And I always say, think about that because your bills will always be there. But your future and your retirement may not be there if you don't take time today to put more away for yourself. And it could be as simple as, starting with $10 a week or increasing it to 20 or 25. Or if you have a different financial perspective, that could be 100 a week or so on and so forth. And let that build over time. And learn ways to calculate how much it will be worth in the future if you put so much away today, because you'll find that money will grow over time if you invest properly. It's just going to take you some time to figure all that out. I remember when I started out, I had to talk to a lot of my friends who were all new at investing, and I had no idea how to do that. So take that time. Find some folks who are in the same boat as you, trying to figure out their financial future. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to let somebody know that you don't know. It's okay to be vulnerable. It will pay off dividends going down the road. When I think about faith, for me, it's really about, what do I want to do today that's going to prepare me spiritually for when God calls me home. So for me, it could be different, obviously, for you, but really think about what your belief system is, what you want to do in order to prepare yourself spiritually, because each day we're growing. For me, I've been praying the rosary every day. I finished reading the Bible, trying to learn the catechism in a year through the Catholic Church. For you, it may be something else. And so really find what that is for you. And the other element for me is serving, trying to figure out how to serve my community, how to serve my church. serve my fellow parishioners and things of that nature. It's not an easy task, but it does take some time really to look at how do I get better in my spirituality with God. So that's all of that in a nutshell for me. So personal, financial, faith, and not necessarily in that order again, but as you go through that whole process of, and we'll talk about this in a few more episodes, but how do you really even get started about planning for tomorrow? Well, the first thing is really to determine and prioritize your goals. What's important to you and your family, or just you if you don't have a family yet, or if it's just you and a significant other, really working it through together and say, okay, here's what we want to do. Here are our goals. What's it going to take to get there? That's the other one, is what's it going to take to get there? So putting all that together and then saying, well, how long is it going to take to get there? How long would we like it to take to get there? For example, financial. If you want to retire, at 55 or 50, younger, 60, you may find that you need to sacrifice a little bit more today in order to achieve that goal. You may need to look at, how do I pay down my bills in order to be able to retire at a relatively young age. I always say the simplest thing is make sure you got more coming into your household than going out. That's a good start. The other one is obviously medical benefits, making sure you're able to sustain benefits to take care of yourself medically and so on as you get older. And then the other thing is really understanding the big picture. All of these elements come into taking time today to plan for tomorrow. So when I think about the big picture, you may want to do something. You may want to tuck more money away, but maybe that's going to impact you in another way that you're not ready to do. So if you look at that financially again, you may say, instead of putting away $50, I'm going to put away 25 this week, or so on and so forth. Personal, let's say you're talking about your career growth. You're talking about going to college. You're talking about going to a technical school to learn a skill or learn a trade, right? It's really identifying what it's going to take there. And big picture wise, what does that mean? Well, it could be as simple as, I don't have a car, so I'm going to have to take the bus. So where's the school? How do I get there? How do I pay for it? How do I do all of these things? That's the big picture, or a microcosm of the big picture. Big picture is, hey, if I make the sacrifice today, what's it going to do for me down the road? It's going to give me the opportunity to have a really great job and to provide for my family. And those are the kind of things to look at. What's that big picture look like for you? I know for me, the big picture when Carolyn and I got married was, I wanted to be able to buy a house. We wanted to have children. We wanted to not overextend ourselves so that we could take trips with the boys, as they got older. And we've been able to accomplish that in really doing our best to live within our means. I know when I was going back to school to work on my master's, there were times I couldn't play with Antonio when he was like 1, 2, 3 years old, and I had to study. We've made those trade-offs, but we also balanced it with what was it going to do down the road for us. And those, call it a short-term sacrifice, but really making it part of the future plan for us was important. So really taking that time back then really paid off for us tomorrow, which is now today, which we're living today. So, and again, faith, the same thing. I encourage a lot of people to get really in touch with their faith. For me, it's really trying to get people to go back to Mass. A lot of people falling away from the church. So for me, I try and go every Sunday. I try and do the things I mentioned earlier in this podcast. And hopefully, I can encourage some folks to get back to Mass, or for some out there, going back to a service or to some other facility where you worship. I think all of that's important for not just the heart, but for the soul and for spirituality. So I hope this helps. We'll talk about more of these different elements within this podcast coming down the road. But again, taking that time today to plan for tomorrow will really pay dividends. And I know there's some people that say, well, what if tomorrow doesn't come? I say, well, what happens if it does, right? So you got to be ready for it. And again, these are just small pieces of a bigger picture for you. It's really up to you to really digest what it's going to take for you today to plan for tomorrow. Okay, I hope this helps everybody. Have a great one. God bless.